Good day, sir. I am Midshipman Justin Benagracia from S1G. This is the assignment number 2. Topic 3, LO3.2. Marpol Annex 1 to 6 and mandatory regulation and legislative requirements. Mandatory regulation in the context of Marpol International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships. The term mandatory regulations refers to a set of rules and standards that must be followed by ships to ensure compliance with the convention. These regulations are not optional, they are obligatory and binding for all ships. Falling under the scope MARPOL, the mandatory regulations cover various aspects of pollution prevention and environmental protection in the maritime industry. Each MARPOL annex addresses specific types of pollutions and outlines regulation to prevent or minimize these pollutants. The mandatory nature of these regulations emphasize the commitment of the international community to safeguard the marine environment and reduce the impact of shipping activities. MARPOL Annex 1. All pollutions preventions. Mandatory regulations focus on the prevention of all pollution from ships, including regulations for all tanker, all record books, all discharge monitoring equipment, and shipboard all pollutions emergency plans or SOPEPS. Marpol number Marpol Annex number 2. Noxious liquid substance. Mandatory regulations address the prevention of pollutions by noxious liquid substance carried in bulk. This includes regulations for the constructions and equipment of ships, the categorizations of substance, and procedures for discharge. Marpol Annex number 3. Harmful substance in package form. Mandatory regulations cover the prevention of pollutions by harmful substance in the package from this includes labeling, packaging, and documentation requirements for the transport of packaged dangerous goods. Marpol Annex number 4. Sewage pollutions preventions. Mandatory regulations focus on preventing pollutions from sewage by setting standards for sewage treatment systems or discharge criteria and the implementation of shipboards marine pollutions emergency plans or SMPEPS. Marpol Annex number 5. Garbage pollution preventions. Mandatory regulations address the prevention of pollutions by garbage from ships. These regulations includes requirements for the disposal of various types of garbage, special areas, and the management of ships, general garbage. Marpol Annex number 6. Air pollution preventions. Mandatory regulations and to prevent air pollution from ships by setting standards for emissions of sulfur oxides or XOX, nitrogen oxide NOx, and particulate matter. The annex also includes energy efficiency and measures. Compliance with the mandatory regulations is essential to ships operators and failures to adhere to them can result in penalties and consequences, including fines, detentions, and restrictions on ships' movements. The goal is to ensure a uniform and high standard of environmental protections across the international maritime community. Legislative requirements. In the context of MARPOL International Conventions of the Prevention of Pollution from Ship, the term legislative requirements refers to specific laws and regulations that have been established by the contracting parties countries to implement and enforce the provisions of MARPOL Annexes 1 to 6. These legislative requirements are the domestic laws and enacted by individual countries to give effect to the international standards of obligations. Seats are in Marpol. Marpol Annex Number 1. All pollutions preventions. Legislative requirements may include national regulations governing the constructs and equipment of oil tanker, oil spills response plans, requirements for record books, and penalties for violations related to oil pollution provisions. Marpol Annex 2. Noxious liquid substance. Countries and legislative requirements to ensure compliance with the regulations out, outlined Annex 2. This may include laws related to the construction and equipment of ships carrying noxious liquid substance. Procedures for the insurance of international pollution prevention certificates, NLA's certificates, and penalties for non-compliance. MAPOL Annex Number 3. Harmful substance in package form. Legislative requirements cover the domestic implementation of regulations related to the packing, labeling, and documentation of package harmful substance. Countries by established laws to enforce proper handling, storage, and transport of dangerous goods. Marpol Annex 4. Sewage pollution prevention. Legislative requirements in the context involve nationals that translate the standards and guidelines outlined in Annex Number 4 into domestic regulation. This include the governing to constructs and use of sewage treatment system, discharge criteria, and implementation of shipboards ni pollution emergency plans o SMPERs. Marpol Annex Number 5. Garbage pollution preventions. Legislative requirements encompass domestic laws addressing the prevention of pollution by garbage from ships. The includes regulations on the disposal of different types of garbage, requirements for garbage management plans, and penalties for violations. Marpol Annex Number 6. Air pollution preventions. Legislative requirements relate to Annex Number 6 involve domestic laws addressing air pollution prevention from ships. This includes regulations on sulfur oxide, SOx, and nitrogen oxide, emission the use compliant fuels, and implementation of energy efficiency measures. Countries as contracting parties to MARPOL responsible for incorporating the Convention of requirements in their national legal frameworks. This process involves to establish of legislative measures that ensure effective implementation, monitoring, and enforcement of the pollutions. Prevention standards outlined MARPOL, Annex 1 to 6. These legislative requirements contribute to the global effort protect the marine environment from various forms of pollutions originating from shipping activities. And that's all, sir. Thank you.